Brothers and sisters, what's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. And I am, I'm doing lives on Facebook and on YouTube, and I'm looking at the degradation of the country based on the people in it. Like when I tell people in Brazil, oh, I didn't join the army. I didn't go into the army because I love the country. I love the people in it. See, that's a difference. See, because the governments will go and try to mess over people in a heartbeat, right? But it was the people in it. I stayed in as long as I did because of people that I met in my journeys to and fro here and there, right? I like Brazil, not because I like Brazil, but I like the people in it. All right. So what happens to a place when the people in it are, especially on the Bfems side, look like this, and they despise good people. Well, you got a country that is going to go to hell in a handbasket. You also got these Bfems who know very little, if to anything at all, and they are easily manipulated into drumming up fear. But wait a minute, you got a bunch of thirsty clowns that will chase after these Bfems and drink whatever Kool-Aid they selling. Not realizing that the Kool-Aid is going to come from our media and all the other sources of wickedness that have been against the good people of the Afro community. And dare I say now, it is starting to be evident they are against the good people of the United States, period. Again, when it comes down to it, I'm not for this country. I'm for the people in it. And a lot of people are starting to realize that the sum of the people in the country is more than the country, then is more important than the people running the country. If you got a just guy in there trying to run them to the best of their ability, understanding that these guys have flaws, funny characteristics, every president was made fun of by somebody in comedy. All right, all the way up to Trump. But it's one thing when you are critical of some errors, some blunders, all right, and then it's another thing when somebody that on paper have been doing the best job ever out of any other president, you blame them for every calamity that happens to you when this is your lifestyle. All right. When you decided that the people that you were going to despise are good people, and now that people are turning against you, you have a problem. Or now that things aren't going your way, you want to blame somebody instead of yourself. Oh, I'm talking to the Bfems and the clowns that follow them. But it's not them. It's the left-handed, left-sided, vitriolic media and establishment that we have in this country that's doing that. Almost forgot. Let me greet everybody real quick. Y'all see the title. Geworden, Ola Gudag, Geworden Hardu Gudag, Ola Oite de Bang, Vasas Los Bonja Mezami, Kedu Bawani Konichiwa, Ni Hao Ni Ama, Sani Bonani, Jambo Harbai Gani, Assalamu Alaikum, Shalom, Kamusta Ka, and Kamusta Pokayo. Alright? So, there we go. All right. Now, before I really get into this, understand that don't forget these. We're about to go over here. They will be in the description box. All right. These links will be in the description box. All right. Remember, brothers, I've been saying for a while. If they look like this, they ain't our friend. They're our adversary. Period. If they got on the uniform of our adversary, like the blonde, the two on the left end, that's the uniform of our adversary on top of their head. When they're wearing the hat of our adversary, oh, we're not talking about people that have their natural hair that's like that. They're turning out to be our friends. You know, the women of other communities. Whereas those that wear the hair of the women of other communities artificially are turning out to be our adversaries. They've always been. That's why they donned on a uniform when they got the opportunity. All right. Let me remind you. Let's get those thumbs up. And I want to hear your comments on this after y'all hear what I'm about to say here. Okay. All the rest of this stuff will be in the description box. Okay. So all this effect and stuff by the media. Oh, black people are now the carriers. Black people have never been the carriers. All right, and they need to stop calling us black. Oh, they won't do that because now they're realizing we understand that we are the indigenous Aboriginal people of this land. We're Aboriginal to everywhere. So yeah, okay. They're going to want to call us something other than who we are. That's why we got all those names for our melanin. You know, black, colored, Negro. Negro is the community, the phylum, so to speak. All right? Like Negro, Caucasian, Mongolian, Oriental. All right? But who we really are is the Afro Indigenous, the Aboriginals. All right? So in MSNBC and CNN, they got their clowns. They got P. Diddy even to try to tell us some stuff that they need to go back home. We need to stop listening to Hollywood and all of these clowns that they parade before us. Amani Jones, all the rest of the CNN crew. CNN crew do not represent the Afro community at all. Nobody on CNN represents the Afro community at all. They will never represent the truth to the Afro community at all. So, y'all clowns need to stop listening to them like real men and real women are starting to do. We're starting to smell the stuff, smell the coffee, and it don't smell like coffee. It smell like bull. All right. So where did America COVID come from? The coronavirus mostly spread to New York from Europe, not black people, from Europe, and was sweeping the city by mid-February. The study of the genomes. Oh yeah, you can study the genomes and find out where this stuff is coming from. This is where they were able to determine that Afro people are not as susceptible to this as Caucasians. All right, but this is barring mitigating factors such as our um, drastic lifestyle or poisonous lifestyle. You know, weed, smoke, and a bunch of just jacked up stuff because the women we get with don't know how to cook, don't know how to take care of anything, don't know how to take care of children. McDonald's take care of everything for them. So yeah, it's no surprise that a virus that comes and attack you by allowing the primary illnesses. In other words, this virus allows a primary illness such as heart disease, liver disease, and lung disease to destroy you. And it doesn't do the damage itself. Meaning, normally healthy people with no underlying ailments usually recover from this. All right. Another thing, they are finding out that this thing spreads like the flu, but not as lethal, seeing as most of the United States, meaning greater than 50%, and that's just an estimate, probably already had it in some form or another and built up an immunity to it. But that is just an educated guess, and we can't know until people start testing for the antibodies. But nobody wants to do that because the truth might come out that all these shutdowns were draconian at best. Oh, and it was by the governors. We'll get into that. All right. So the first cases of coronavirus arrived in New York and spread mostly from Europe, according to scientific studies. Again, the link will be in the description box. Researchers believe that the virus was being spread around the city by mid-February, weeks before New York's first confirmed case. The scientists from Shan School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, NYU, and Grossman School of Medicine studied DNA from thousands of samples of the coronavirus patients and concluded that the first travelers to bring virus to the city came from Europe, not Asia, according to the New York Times. But they also found the strand that the virus arrived in Washington state from China. That makes sense. This is how it makes sense. When you understand geography and geology, you will note that Europe has more of a healthy Chinese population than the United States. So that would be the epicenter before New York, right? But you got a lot of people going in and out of New York because of what New York is, right? Now, when you look at Washington State, way on the other side of the United States, they have a lot of business dealing with the Orient. Why? Because it's Washington State, and that's where you're going to fly to the Philippines, Japan, China, all the rest of that stuff. All right, so this would make sense. Oh, you know where it didn't come from? Africa. You know where it didn't come from? So-called black people. You see what I'm saying? So how you going to let people gas y'all up and make y'all the carriers? That don't even make sense. Especially when most of the so-called black people aren't going to venture out of their own hood. Period. This was the other problem. All these shutdowns made the virus worse because the younger people that would have overcome it easily were told to stay in the house with the older people that were more at risk. And they were shut in around it. And still, since you can go out for essentials, it didn't mean that you weren't going to get it. What it now meant is, and this is according to the WHO, that the shutdowns had caused the virus to get worse and do more damage. In other words, the shutdowns caused more death is because it corralled everybody in one low space without them going out into the sun, getting that sun, with the sun killing it. See, all this fear and doom caused more demise than had the economy stayed open. And then we would have took sensible things like the distancing, the social distancing when you're out. Of all the things, that's the only thing that made sense with dealing with this virus. And all this no touch, shutting down the non-touch screen so you can't get money, they created was going to be more long-term health issues and more deaths due to these shutdowns than coronavirus actually did when you actually look at what's been going on. Oh, and let me mention this. I have the PDF that was sent to doctors of people telling them to diagnose, to put on a death certificate as the cause of death things where people did not die of coronavirus, and they didn't want the person to be tested. Without testing, put they died of coronavirus when old people die. This is why you don't have so many people dying of lung disease and heart attacks that are old, but they're dying of coronavirus. It's because they are mishandling death certificates. Oh, I have the PDF. So if you PDF means I have the document that they sent to the doctor. All right. It's a few pages long. Okay. So if you would like it, just my email will be in the description box. Email me and I'll send you the PDF. All right. For those of you that can contact me on Facebook, I could try to send it there. All right. But my email is better. All right. So let's continue. In other words, this was a fear tactic. Scarecrow. All right. Masking up and stuff like that. This is the society. This is the society that the 13 families that rule the world wanted. They wanted complete control of the population. Why? Because they cannot beat us as a people that are together. And if we stand up for justice, then we would have something to battle for. But our biggest enemy to justice, to freedom, is us. They are using these weak-minded females that's running around trying to gas up people and keep them afraid and stuff like that. And that's because these simps done gave them queendom only because they have a coochie. Period. That's it. They have the JJ, and so they get queen status when they're not queens at all. Queens have a king, and they have a king who has a kingdom. No, they want to be with Pookie and Ray Ray, who owns nothing, who they easily get frightened because they're following these Bfems who are following the media. Y'all better stop watching CNN because they're lying. All right, and then they're exploiting everything. Black China is going to charge $1,000 for FaceTime. And I mean, what can you say? If you like a person that's totally siliconed up to the point where it looks bad when she take off her clothes, all right, then that's on you. Hey, if she could get $1,000, but this says something to how broke she is, because if she got all that money, she wouldn't need to do this. All right, you don't know what on her is real, but she's going to exploit people for $1,000. You know why? Because she can. Because she can. Period. Sorry, had to pause and take care of some stuff. All right, so this is basically it. This is what's basically going on. All right. Period. This is what we got. We got these Bfems running around exploiting everything to get money. Somebody just sent me a message. Hey, you got Cash App. Not for y'all. Period. All right. Meanwhile, this is the rest of the world. And this is the world that they want the United States to live under. Right here. And the people that don't see this coming are the people on the left. These Bfems that want everybody's rights and freedoms taken away. All right? All right. So pay attention to this. All right. What people don't understand is Trump did not shut down the government. Each state did it in and of itself. That's why everything in the way that the states did it was different and opening on different days and stuff. What Trump is advocating is that he can force the states to open back up their governments if he so chooses, which he can. And how does he do that? He can't send the army down and do it. What he can do is he says, if you don't open up all federal benefits that we're paying for, we're just not going to pay for them. It's because you're not following the federal order of the president. Now, if you got enough money as a state to not need the federal government for your welfare and stuff, because they do all of that, and for all the rest of that stuff, then you can go on ahead. But most states, all of the states, get something, a bunch of stuff from the federal government. A lot of money is tied up in things coming from the federal government. All right, so that's basically what's going on. Now, basically, I want y'all to pay attention to this because it was the states that decided to put all these draconian orders in place. It was the states that decided to do that. The cities and their mayors, right? They're the ones that decided to take away your freedom, all right, with very little to go on just because they had power. All the way up to the point that in Tennessee, a mayor tried to tell the church that the distancing, social distancing that they were doing for Easter Sunday was going to be stopped, and the judge had to put an injunction on it. And one of the things that the judge came up, thank you, Viva Fry, Montreal litigator. One of the things that the judge came up with was, look, you got people are allowed to go to liquor stores and grocery stores, but they can't go and social distance in cars 6 feet apart at churches. All right, and so the judge realized, and this is me thinking that it seemed like the judge realized this was an attack on religion by the left. So you don't have the freedom of religion, which was protected. All the stuff that was protected by the Constitution, the left is trying to erode away. And then they're trying to blame the president for stuff that he did not do. Why? Because they successfully got many people in the United States to H8 this president, calling him racist when he was not, while the same people that call him racist will vote for a party that clear out called them the N-word. Yeah, I'm talking to you, black people. The party that clearly called you the N-word by saying, I will have you, them N-words, voting Democrats for the next 200 years. By clearly having Hillary Clinton at a Kent State, oh, I got the video, I got the receipts, at a Kent State speech, calling children super predators and that she must bring the heel like dogs. That's what heel is. That she's like they're no better than dogs. That's why you bring them to heel. That's the words that came out of her mouth. Because that's what she thinks about your children. Remember, she's a staunch supporter of Margaret Sanger, who created or put eugenics in as the part of the Democratic platform. That might be a little much for y'all. All right, but for us brothers that are awake, look at these Afro people that support that still with all that information, and then falsely blame somebody of racism. You can blame him of a lewd mouth, crude mouth. You can blame him for a lot of things, but they forgot his history before he became president. And then I don't have no respect for anybody that allows the media to tag a person, good or bad, when their actions and how they act toward people is different from the tag that the media gave them. Now pay attention to this. All right? He claims he can overrule states. All right? With Americans locked down at home, he has the authority to open up the states. And he does. Okay? And he is not, like they say, he's not the one that shut it down. All right? Now, I wanted to pause here. This is his tweet. He tweeted this for the purpose of creating conflict, and that's what the news have done. That's what CNN, MSNBC, and all the rest of them have done. They wanted to create conflict within the people, and they wanted to create conflict against Trump specifically. Even though the stuff, people that are doing most of this stuff to you are the state that you're living in, they're trying to make Trump have the blame for it. All right. Now, it's the governor's decision to open up the states, not that of the president of the United States and the federal government, right? He says, let's let it be fully understood that this is incorrect. Now, the media, the left-wing media, had Bill Gates on to discuss the virus and the vaccine, but Bill Gates is neither a doctor, a lab technician, nor an elected official. And y'all still want to trust them clowns, right? He does have the power to force them to, he can force them to open it up by using tools within the federal government. And I named a few. All right, he could cut the purses and he could say, well, this state, well, they don't want to follow the thing. We'll let them be on their own. The federal government will not fund these things. You see what I mean? Now, he can't send the army down there to do it, but he can say the federal government will stop funding to these states that decide not to follow this order. All right, let's continue. All right, another tweet. All right, it is decision of the president, and for many good reason. With that being said, the administration and I are working closely with the governors, and this will continue. A decision by me in conjunction with the governors and input from others will be made shortly. All right. So basically, this is what this was at his briefing, right? So this is what's going on. He wants to allow the governors to make their decision, right? If he disagreed, he would overrule. All right. And so now all the rest of these things are inferences made on the guy that has doing the report. All right. And so we're following the CDC guidelines, who's following the WHO. The WHO is now a corrupt organization with close ties to China. All right. And here's the thing, because we can't trust any of the information, all right, we cannot trust any of the information, we should go by whatever facts he's dealing with. Because we know this for sure, that in this government right here, most of the people in this government sandbag this president. Everybody had an agenda, like he's in league with Bill Gates, but Bill Gates is not a doctor or an elected official, but they are both a part of the eugenics program. Right? Brothers and sisters, I want y'all to understand this is the world they want for you. This is why I say, brothers, we have to save ourselves everywhere because no one is for us. Period. But we are thinking brothers and we could think our way out of this. With that said, I'm out.